Good morning, guys. Just going to hold a moment of silence before we begin this stream. Today, our topic is leadership. We're going to be exploring what could be possible when we begin the conversation of what does a new paradigm require from us in the context of leadership. Okay, let's begin. So I am not talking about leadership from a political world stage perspective. I'm speaking about spiritual leadership from those of us who have awakened to what we truly are. We have stabilized in the knowings of ourselves, and we are here for the liberation of all beings. We are here to create a new paradigm through the fruits of our expressions and our actions and our relationships with each other. And we are truly here to bridge this new paradigm into manifestation. This is the type of leadership that I'm talking about. New paradigm leadership, new earth leadership, whatever way you want to see this shift in consciousness that we are going through. I'm talking about leadership as a bridge and as a vehicle for that shift, for us to all go deeper into this remembrance of ourselves, and for us to learn how to live and lead and guide from that place of true anchorage within ourselves. So naturally, it requires a death of old paradigm perspectives. When you are called to step into leadership, this is going to require you to decondition all of your notions about what you think that's going to mean and what you think it's going to need from you. This is not about being hierarchical or authoritative or pointing and saying you need to go this way. This is about you embodying a state of coherence and a state of being anchored in your true nature and allowing that field to do the work. So there are a few different stages that I see in the natural leadership journey. I'm going to go into them first. And just want to say hello, guys. Hello to everyone who's watching live or on the replay. Let me know in the comments who's here. And also feel free, as I'm sharing, what's coming up for you, what's popping, what's alive. And also, what does this topic open up inside of you? Because I am sharing this not as a crystallization of a new way that I have found. I am opening this up as my own exploration and contemplation that I'm extending. And this is something that I am in the field with exploring of how does this manifest? How have I seen this manifesting in my life, in my client's life? And how do I feel it intuitively moving forwards? So, hello, guys. Okay. So the phases of leadership, as I was saying, about it not really being about assuming a position anymore, but about being in a state of coherence and allowing your field to be so anchored and saturated in the truth of your nature that it speaks for itself. So we begin our leadership journey through our own individual initiations. The initiations that we step through that challenge who that we thought we were and give us the window into seeing something more true, something more real. And they invite us to begin to assimilate this new way. After you cross an initiation and a turning point, you are never the same after that. We all have different initiation journeys in our lives, but they will always be big turning points. And this is a point where you've stepped into a new embodiment, and that initiation has really challenged that old self to be completely dismantled, and it's invited you to stabilize in something new. When you pass through a point of initiation, you get connected to a new stream of information and energy for yourself, and you cannot close your eyes to that truth. You cannot turn back. There is no returning to who you once were. There's no returning to what you used to know. And that once you pass that initiation point, there is a natural leadership that becomes required of you down the line, because there are many other souls who are passing through similar initiation points, similar transformations that you've gone through, that they are going to go through. And this is a natural type of leadership that is just based off relevancy and resonance, and also requirement. You cannot guide and support others through a terrain if you have not walked that terrain yourself. It is a very natural expectation. So there's the initiation phase. Once you pass through initiation, there is self-leadership, learning how to lead yourself from that new truth, learning how to lead yourself into action, into expression, and into being loyal and sincere with the new frequency and in the embodiment that you have stepped into. So how can you lead yourself? How can you be on the forefront of your own expansion? And how can you bring yourself fully into your life, energetically speaking? How can you inhabit the full expansiveness of your field without compromising, without restricting it, without withholding it, without trying to moderate it based off what you believe other people are asking from you? How can you be really loyal to that internal position within yourself? So once you are really anchored in that self-leadership and you are channeling your own edge of evolution, your own edge of embodiment, your own edge of expression, then leadership naturally emerges from that. So I see that as the next phase. And this three-phase process really repeats in cycles. It repeats in, it's a spiral. So every time you shift into a new version, a new chapter of yourself, a new rendition of what it means for you to be in this leadership, there will be another cycle of initiation, self-leadership, and then leadership that comes from you as you are radiating and emanating that which is just naturally coming from you as a result of the self-leadership. But the thing is that you, and this really goes without saying, is that you cannot step into any form of leadership unless you truly understand and know how to lead yourself, how to really guide yourself and actually embody that which it is that you want to share in leadership. So there are a couple of things around leadership that I really want to balance out, because the concept that I'm the leader and you're the follower, I'm the guide, you're the one needing guiding, all of this is a little bit artificial and inorganic, and it isn't really true in the context of our true nature. And in order for us to step into this new paradigm of leadership, and leadership that actually feels authentic to us, those of us who want to step into spiritual service and who know that they are here to be a bridge for a new paradigm, it's important that we get a chance to connect to some new definitions of what this could mean, some new ways of how we recognize that this could be a vehicle for ourselves. So naturally, what I was saying about how we need to let go of all of our definitions and what it is that we've witnessed in the world, and recognize that the pull to leadership and to service and to expressing your mission inside of yourself is going to require you to do it completely and utterly on your own terms. And this isn't the terms of your ego, it's the terms of your soul, it's the terms of your higher self, it's the terms of your divine being, declaring how it is that you are here to express your energy and what it needs from you in the context of where you place your attention, where you put your awareness, how you bring yourself into congruency between your soul and your mind and your heart, in your physical circumstances, how you express that congruency. And then there is that natural leadership that emerges from that. So within those phases, there's the three phases that I just spoke about. The initiation, just want to go back to that for a second, as the initiation usually is a period of very deep unbecoming, very deep identity collapse, the challenge of who you believed yourself to be. And it is the breaking down of the shell of your ego, the purification process, so that your energy can come through naturally as you, not filtered through the constructs of your ego, not filtered through the needs, the sneaky little needs of your ego, right? So there is that death of the old self. There is that disintegration of who you once were. And in a lot of ways, the real initiation phase is that great unbecoming. And we can also see it as the restabilization process. So taking you through a process of finding stability within your own true nature, within your own guidance, and not being driven by your ego. So that is why there is a point where leadership will naturally emerge, and it will naturally come forwards from you once you have gone through that process of unbecoming all that you're not, letting go of your old definitions and coming into that new coherence. So there are some principles that I feel within myself when I think of leadership, when I approach my service and my own mission. And these can be a starting point for you guys. And some of these things will resonate with you. Some of them you'll understand. It will give a sense of how you are here to bridge this. And if any of these principles really stand out to you, I want you to really go deeper into that and see what it is trying to tell you. So again, just to circle back, guys, when your soul is asking for service, for you to actualize your mission, for you to step into leadership, it's not asking for what you perceive the definition of that leadership and that service is going to be like. It's going to be different from your expectations that you hold based off the past experiences that you have, the past perceptions, and what you have perceived on a world stage in relationship to the world that is being dismantled before our very eyes. This is a leadership that is rooted in the true essence of what we are and in the true seeing. And in a lot of ways, you haven't seen that many examples of it being modeled, perhaps in a more small way, but not on a global stage. However, that's not really what I'm talking about, because that is not my realm of expertise, guys. Okay, so the first principle that I work with for leadership is this understanding that it comes from coherence and not necessarily a preconceived definition. So coherence and embodiment and the power of your energetic field versus a decision for a position. I'm deciding I'm in this leadership position. I'm deciding that I know the way and you're going to follow me. I've decided that I am in this position and you need to take in what I have said. So it comes from that space within yourself where you have stepped into natural coherence through leading yourself, through going through your initiation, and then through taking the actions that you need to take to express leadership on that more in a way that is bridging to other people. So recognizing that new definition, recognizing that the qualification of it is your own internal state and clarity of your realization and the coherence that you are in and the congruency within yourself. That is the natural state within yourself that initiates this leadership to come from you. So it is about your state and uh, the real configuration of your energy, more so than the the pathway that you follow or the things that you say. In a lot of ways, a true qualification for leadership, in my opinion, is not necessarily spoken. It is felt. It can be known. You know it within yourself. You know when you're ready. And obviously, there's always going to be a little bit of a, whoa, I'm not quite ready yet feeling. And that is natural as well, because that is you bringing the parts of yourself that are needing chance to get caught up with who you are now. So there'll always be a little bit of that, but you will know on a deep visceral level that you are ready. So the next principle that I work with is to lead from within, lead from the my own inner guidance, from the higher self, from the emergence of the divine through us. So not leading by the things that we perceive on the outside. Obviously, to a degree, we are. However, we're not being influenced by the external world. We're not being influenced by how we're triggered by circumstances, by how we're triggered by other people, by what our mind is saying. And I put the mind in the category of external here as well. So that internal directive, letting the guidance, letting the motivation come from within you and move you forwards. Now, there is actually a very powerful nuance that I'm going to share a little bit later in this video around the capacity for us to really attune what's moving through us, because there's an assumption that, okay, because something isn't moving through me, I'm not meant to act right now. And there's a few different ways that there's a nuance here, a really big nuance that we need to really understand here. But I'm gonna share that a little bit later on in the video. So once you are really leading from within, there's naturally a transcendence of your ego, transcendence of your personal self. And this really is a very, very important principle in leadership. Is you're not doing it for your ego, you're not doing it for yourself, you're not self-serving even in subtle ways. You have fully excavated the aspect of you that's trying to get something from other people, that's trying to get a type of validation, a type of confirmation, a type of acknowledgement, and you've nipped that in the bud. So learning how to transcend your own ego in it and to be selfless in your service and selfless in your leadership, and not allow your ego in its subtle ways to be at the center of what is guiding you. So naturally, once you are transcending your ego, the next principle really is that you are heart-based, truly heart-based, from a place that is able to see the beauty and the wholeness and the power and the potential in every single person. And then naturally, when you are anchored in your heart, there is a balance between how you express that love and how you also guide it from a place of wisdom as well. Because if we are too much in our heart and too loving and too caring, we can also fail to see how we need to guide and lead from wisdom as well. So there is that component of really balancing the love and the wisdom within you and learning how to still be in the heart and have the heart at the center of it. So the next principle that I think is really, really important is there is the environment and the authority and the structure. So this is really in the subtle energies. And this is very connected to your intention. And you've got to really go deep inside of yourself when you're stepping into leadership to make sure that these things are not in the field. So cultivating an environment ultimately that creates a non-dependency on your leadership, that is essentially supporting people how to fish, right? So your leadership is supporting other people to step into their own leadership. It is not just saying, okay, I'm leading, here's the information, here's what you need to act on, and then you just come back to me when you need more. How can your leadership inspire self-leadership and internal leadership within other people? How can you create that environment that is inviting them to rise and inviting or invoking that connection to self leadership. And within that, there is not an inorganic and an artificial type of authority in your structure. So, a very common thing that I see with many people, even those who are spiritually inclined and who believe to be embodying a type of uh, new paradigm leadership, is there's still a subtle authority structure that is not truly in balance with our divine nature. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with authority, but I'm saying that there can be these artificial types of authority that come from this perception that I'm in this position and that you're in this position. And a very helpful hint for this is when you see people who are offering leadership or leadership training, or who are being of service to the evolution of humanity, look at the subtle language that they use. Is there a hierarchy and a I'm over here and you're over here type relationship in the wordings that they use? And these subtle hierarchical authority positions don't ultimately give you the space for you to rise into your own embodiment. Now, this is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not to just broadly canvass authority as negative. I'm saying false type of authority that assumes a position of better, worse, higher, lower. I'm the shepherd, you're the sheep, that kind of a thing. Like, you need to follow me. So that, I think, is really important because we feel it. Those of us who are energetically sensitive, those of us who are connected, you can feel that even when a space is offering a type of leadership or an opportunity for you to rise, if energetically there is a type of structure that is a little bit hierarchical and authoritative in that way, there isn't actually that true space for you, and you will feel it, and your energy won't be able to expand into it. And then naturally, this is not necessarily a principle as much as it is more of a guiding way that I like to really tune into, and that's generosity and spaciousness. How can the space and the guidance and the direction be spacious and generous in that? How can we not just fill it with information and with this and with that? How can we allow a spaciousness? And within that spaciousness, a generosity. So people don't need more information, in case you didn't notice. We need more space to have that acquaintance with our true nature and to come into that coherence naturally. So spaciousness really is something that calibrates the field, that allows new possibilities to emerge. As ultimately what I see is that leadership comes from the field. We are an undivided field in essence. We are all the same field of energy and information, and the direction for that comes from within. It's not mental, and it requires that spaciousness for you to be able to feel what is required, for you to be able to connect to the energy around that. And this really leads back to that principle of you being centered in your true self and not doing it from a place of ego. Because if you are doing it from a place of ego, you're going to try to control the whole situation. You're going to try to control the flow of things, and you're not going to allow space for what really, really wants to emerge. So those are a few principles that I really use to guide my own understanding of leadership and what's required for me. So let's go back through them. So there's, first of all, recognizing the definition of leadership, or the quality is one of coherence, not of a mental definition of what leadership is. Next, the cultivating of an environment that inspires and allows space for self-leadership, leading from within, leading from the heart and balancing that love and the wisdom within that. And then being really conscious not to have an artificial hierarchy structure that is not based in true generosity and spaciousness for the rest of the people in the space. Now, there are many different problems that spiritual seekers experience when they want to step into leadership and they want to cross that bridge into true embodiment of that. However, I'm going to go through them on Thursday, but I want to circle back around to the point that I was just sharing about when we are expecting the guidance and the movement to arise from within, and we're not necessarily seeing that. As this is, instead of it being a problem that a lot of speakers experience, it's actually a failure to integrate a certain type of nuance in the way you and your energetic system functions when it comes to being that channel for what it is that you're being invited to step into. So you have a desire for service, you have a desire for the next level of your leadership. That desire is clear, that desire is solid. However, you are in some sense waiting because you are expecting it to just come through and naturally arise and intuitively emerge. And that does work. However, there's a few conditions that are required for that to work. And those conditions are that you are an energetic match for the inspiration, for the action, and for the direction that you are meant to channel. The version of you that has the desire to crystallize more into leadership and service is energetically a very different configuration to who you are once you are beginning to be in that momentum. You've made it a series of shifts. And once you have made those series of shifts, you are more of an energetic match for that free-flowing guidance and wisdom and connection there. So when you are first receiving that desire, the thing that you need to factor in is that you are not yet that version of self. And as a result, you hold certain attachments to this. As a result, you may end up filtering out that capacity to naturally bring through the next direction, to naturally bring through the next inspiration because of how you are energetically configured. You are energetically configured the way that you are because you are attached to a present version of self. You have some unconscious binding and attachment to who you are now. This is natural. It's nothing personal to you. It's just how it is when we are making a shift. There is an attachment to who you are now. And within that attachment, there are contradictions. Some very simple examples of contradictions are, okay, I really want to step into leadership, but I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I have the responsibility. I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to handle it. I'm afraid that people in my life are going to turn their back on me. I'm afraid I'm going to be burnt at the stake again. Those kind of things. Those kind of energies that we hold will actually filter out the wisdom and the direction. So if you factor this in when you hold that expectation and assumption that's just going to naturally come through and emerge one day, then you're going to begin to shift yourself into the version of self that will naturally be able to connect to that guidance and that inspired direction. But you've got to make that energetic shift first. You've got to shift out of that resistance because that is a really, really real thing. And I really say this because many beings can wait around and believe that it's just not coming through, so it's not meant to happen. And there can just be a form of stagnancy that you end up in and disempowerment and disconnection from what it is that you actually really want to step into. Okay, guys, so those are a few stages that I see: the initiation, that dissolution of the old, the self-leadership, and then the leadership. And those are some of the principles that I really guide leadership in, as a leadership for a vehicle to the new paradigm, to new way of doing things. And like I said, there are many problems that we experience when we want to step into leadership that hold us back. And I'm going to speak to those specific imbalances and blocks that the spiritual collective have in the next video as part of the next video. But what I just touched on today about making that energetic shift so that you can really come into contact with that guidance and that directive should actually be quite game changing for some of you, particularly those of you who are on that cusp of leadership at this point. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching live or on the replay. And I would love to hear what comes up for you as I share this. Are there any ways that you feel called into leadership, but it contradicts what you thought leadership meant? And are you seeing an opening around that? What is it that even comes up for you on this topic of leadership? The fact that you're even here and that you're listening means that you are ready, means that you're on a threshold moment, means that you're at a turning point. And chances are the turning point is going to be bridged by you delayering what it is within yourself and you understanding that this is a process of you being uncompromisingly loyal to what is within you so that you can step forward as an authentic embodiment of what you really are versus what you believe is being expected of you or what your ego is trying to get so that it can maintain its paradigm. Okay, guys, thank you all. And I'm sending you all so much love. Bye. And see you on Thursday on Instagram at the same time. Bye, guys.